Hello, I'm Mike Morris, the head of the School of Entrepreneurship here at Oklahoma State, and so pleased to have with me today Daymond John. Daymond is he's a consummate entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, perhaps best known for the brand FUBU, but also on the ABC show Shark Tank. Also with me today is Johnson Bailey, an OSU student and entrepreneur, founder of the original Man Candle, and Johnson's been on Shark Tank. Johnson?
Well, thank you for having me.
So how's the reunion feel with Daymond?
It's a lot less stressful. A couple cameras, but not as many, and it's great to see him again and to be able to share with him some of the successes that I've had and some of the help that Shark Tank has brought to me is really meaningful to entrepreneurs like myself. So
now that you have Daymond in a much less threatening environment, what's the question you've always wanted to ask him?
Well, I've had a lot of questions for Mr. John, but no, I'm excited that he's a part of the show and that the entrepreneurial spirit I can see through Shark Tank. I guess if I had one question for him, besides why didn't he invest in my company, would be what is his greatest joy out of the show?
Initially going on to the show, I was looking to expand my portfolio because being in the clothing business, I was only getting pitched other clothing businesses. And I wanted to acquire more real estate in retail outlets, so I wanted to also have an electronic business, or this and that. So when I'm talking to a Macy's, a JCPenney's, or a Bloomingdale's, I can offer them several levels and acquire more real estate. But after being on the show for the first season, I started to realize that people and entrepreneurs had this twinkle in their eyes, this energy, and that I had a long time ago. But I started to get excited about that. That's infectious. Then I realized after being on the show that maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I'm not that bright, because a lot of people come on with ideas and I go, oh my God, how come I didn't think of that? So the ability to tap into somebody else's dreams and enjoy that, but as well as somebody else's knowledge, because the world changes every day. And we see new things that come up and I can't think of everything. And I go, you know what? That person can use certain things that I can do, and I can use certain things that person can do. And then it's just rewarding all around.
When I look at your story, Daymond, it's a story about values.
Yes.
And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the values that really are underlie. It's not about money per se,
No.
but that underlie entrepreneurship.
Yeah, well, I mean, true entrepreneurship is that passion to learn and grow, and to understand that you'll make way more mistakes than you will progression, and to learn from those mistakes and reenact it and improve. I think that the only thing that every person I know who's successful has in common is they're doing something they love. And I'm not saying that success is money. I know a lot of miserable people with a lot of money. Success could be being a great parent or contributing to, to a way to fight our imprint, our carbon imprint in the environment, or success can be money. But the passion of doing something another, you created that change, and that all decisions at the end of the day rely upon your decisions. You don't pass the buck to anybody else. I think that's fulfilling.
Now, a theme that clearly you're a world-class expert on is the whole idea of branding. If you take a brand like FUBU, it's one thing to say what you want a brand to stand for, but what are some of the keys to actually building an identity, a brand identity that resonates, that works?
Well, first of all, what is the brand and what are you trying to portray? A lot of times that's not how your customer will embrace you. Now, if your customer embraces you for a different reason or a different way, you have to identify with, is that your intent to provide that need? And then, more importantly about building a brand, you have to be in love with what you're doing, whether one person likes it or a million. You have to know that this is important to somebody else and that they're on the same page as you, and then things grow from there.
What does being an entrepreneur, in its essence, mean to you?
So I think an entrepreneur is everybody who who has a dream, who has a passion, and they move towards that passion, and they would do it whether they're getting paid or not. I would have made FUBU no matter what. I really started in '89, and I had to close the company 3 times because of lack of funding. And '92, that's when it started to go okay, and I really didn't get a deal until '97, '98. But to see people, you know, wear my product and adorn their body and my stuff because they felt it made them more attractive, it made them feel better, or whatever the case was, that was a high in itself. And that's being an entrepreneur. You get high off of seeing other people, you know, buy into your dream.
I was on the show as a student. What advice do you have for kids that are coming right out of college, that have an education, but they have a desire to be an entrepreneur?
If you're smart enough or driven enough to have that entrepreneurial seed in you, that DNA, and then couple it with a formal education, I think that you then put yourself in the top 5 to 10% of entrepreneurs. And I think that leaving the school after that, you should probably go and work in an organization or someplace to give you just a little bit more of an education, to make sure that you're going to go and do the right things in the right route. You shouldn't just go and then mortgage the whole, you know, everything you have and just put money after it. You should learn the business. And there's one thing about learning the business and educating yourself on it, and then there's another thing about actually trial and error and being and doing the footsteps of it. And once you can do both of those things, you know, Robert says it's the best on Shark Tank. Every overnight success took 15 years. It does not happen overnight. And once you learn those things, then you'll see if you're onto the right thing or not.
You know, it's so interesting you say that. I mean, our core philosophy here at OSU is every student an entrepreneur. 23,500 student entrepreneurs on this campus.
Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much, Daymond John.
Thank you.
Johnson Bailey.
Thank you.
Thank you.